Emma Hayes always preferred to blend into the background. She wasn't one to seek the spotlight or boast about her talents. At 38, life had taught her humility and patience in equal measure. Working quietly as a culinary assistant at a local community center, Emma found solace in the simple joy of cooking for others. Food, to her, was a language of love, a way to connect and heal. Yet despite her deep passion, Emma never imagined her skills would ever be recognized beyond her small circle. The day of the masterclass at the prestigious Chicago Culinary Institute was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon for Emma. Her niece Jen, a bright and ambitious 22-year-old culinary student, had convinced her to attend, promising it would be inspiring. Emma had reluctantly agreed, determined to support Jen's dreams while keeping to the sidelines herself. The shiny kitchen gleamed with stainless steel counters, and the scent of fresh herbs filled the air. Around her, young chefs in crisp uniforms buzzed with excitement, their confidence filling the room like electricity. Emma adjusted her simple white t-shirt, feeling painfully out of place among the sea of professional chef coats and culinary tools she barely recognized. Her honey blonde hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and her face was free of makeup. She was invisible in this crowd, a quiet observer in a world that seemed designed for loud personalities and flashy skills. When Chef Martha Coleman entered, the atmosphere shifted immediately. Martha was culinary royalty, known for her unforgiving standards and sharp tongue. At 65, with silver hair and a commanding presence, she was the kind of woman who could silence a room with just one look. Her reputation was legendary. She could build stars and break egos with equal ease. "Welcome," Martha announced, her voice slicing through the chatter. "Today, we separate those with true potential from those merely pretending." Emma watched as Martha's gaze swept the room, cold and calculating. Then unexpectedly, Martha's eyes landed on Emma. With a mocking smile, she called out, "You there, woman in white, come here." Emma's heart skipped. She wanted nothing more than to disappear, but all eyes turned toward her. Martha handed her an apron, the gesture dripping with sarcasm. "Show us what you can do," she sneered. "Let's see if your home cooking skills hold up." Emma's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but she slipped on the apron and stepped forward. Deep down, she knew this moment would change everything. As she prepared to cook, memories flooded her mind. The years she'd spent quietly perfecting her craft in kitchens no one noticed. The nights when food was the only comfort for her, family during hard times, the small victories that never made headlines. This was more than just cooking. It was her story, her strength, her voice. With calm determination, Emma began to work. The room fell silent. The usual hum of confident chatter faded into focused attention as she moved with grace and precision. Her hands seemed to dance over the ingredients, turning simple vegetables and herbs into a symphony of flavors. It wasn't just skill. It was passion, soul, and a lifetime of quiet dedication. When Emma presented her dish, the judges and students were stunned. The flavors were bold yet balanced, the presentation elegant but unpretentious. Martha's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of respect and surprise. This simple woman in plain clothes had just turned the culinary world upside down. Emma's journey was far from over, but that day marked the beginning of a remarkable transformation. She wasn't just a cook anymore. She was a force to be reckoned with, a hidden champion ready to prove that greatness doesn't always announce itself loudly. It often arrives quietly and changes everything. The stunned silence that followed, Emma's presentation lingered like a heavy fog in the room. No one had expected such mastery from someone who looked so ordinary, who had been so casually mocked just moments before. Chef Martha Coleman's sharp eyes narrowed as she scrutinized the dish again, then slowly. A nod of reluctant approval surfaced on her face. It was clear Emma's skills could not be dismissed. Whispers spread among the students like wildfire. Who was this woman? How did she know so much? Emma herself was overwhelmed but steadied by the warmth growing inside her. The quiet joy of finally being seen not just for what she looked like, but for the soul she poured into her cooking. After the class, Jen ran to Emma, eyes shining with pride. "Aunt Emma, you were incredible. Everyone's talking about you." Emma smiled, but she felt a pang of uncertainty. This was new territory for her. For years, she had been content to cook in anonymity, but now the world was watching. In the days that followed, Emma found herself invited to gatherings and asked for interviews. At first, she resisted. She wasn't interested in fame or accolades. Her life had never revolved around recognition. It was about feeding people, bringing comfort through food. But deep down, she knew this was a chance to share a message. Talent and passion don't always come dressed in fancy uniforms or loud words. Sometimes they come quietly, from those who never expected to be noticed. Emma decided to accept the opportunity and speak at a local charity event. It was a small gathering, but to her it was a chance to give back. She talked about her journey, the struggles of balancing work, family, and dreams that often seemed out of reach. She spoke about resilience, the power of perseverance, and how cooking had been her refuge during the toughest times. Her words touched hearts. People connected not just to her story, but to the universal theme of hope and quiet strength. One evening, as she was closing up the community kitchen, a letter arrived. It was from a prestigious culinary magazine, inviting her to feature in an upcoming issue highlighting unsung heroes in the food industry. Emma hesitated. She worried about losing her privacy and wondered if she was ready to step fully into the spotlight. But she remembered Martha Coleman's challenge and the pride in Jen's eyes. This was a moment to embrace her true self. Emma's feature in the magazine became a sensation. Readers were captivated by her authenticity and humility. They saw a woman who didn't just cook, but who wove stories into every meal, who valued heart over hype. Invitations for speaking engagements, cooking demonstrations, and collaborations poured in. She found herself traveling to places she'd only dreamed of visiting, sharing her passion on stages she never imagined walking. Despite the growing attention, Emma remained grounded. She continued to cook for the community, to teach children and adults alike the magic of simple ingredients transformed by love and patience. She believed deeply that success wasn't measured by fame, but by impact. Her story was no longer just about her. It was about every person who had ever felt overlooked or underestimated. Through the rising tides of change, Emma never lost sight of her roots. She remembered the moments of doubt, the sneers from those who didn't believe in her, and she carried those memories as fuel for her journey. Each dish she created was a tribute to resilience, each recipe a testament to the power of believing in oneself, even when the world doubts. What began as a humiliating challenge from a renowned chef had blossomed into a movement of inspiration. Emma Hayes was no longer just a simple woman. She was a beacon of hope, showing that with quiet courage and unwavering determination, anyone could rewrite their story and rise above expectations. Her transformation was a reminder. Greatness is often found where you least expect it, in the hearts of those who never stop dreaming or trying, no matter how small the stage or humble the beginnings. Emma's rising fame brought many new opportunities, but it also presented challenges she had never anticipated. The bright lights and attention were overwhelming at times, but she remained determined to keep her feet firmly on the ground. Though invitations to upscale restaurants and exclusive events flowed in, Emma never forgot the simple kitchens where her passion had first been ignited. One afternoon, she received an unexpected invitation to return to the Chicago Culinary Institute, not as a student, but as a guest instructor for a special workshop. The same kitchen where she had once been mocked was now welcoming her as a respected professional. The irony was not lost on her, and the thought filled her with a mix of pride and humility. The day of the workshop, the room buzzed with energy as eager students awaited Emma's arrival. She saw many familiar faces, young chefs with bright dreams, and even a few who had witnessed her debut months ago. Emma knew this was more than a teaching session. It was a chance to inspire those who might be struggling to find their own voice in the competitive world of culinary arts. As she began to speak, Emma shared her story honestly, highlighting the moments of doubt, fear, and frustration she had faced. "It's easy to feel invisible," she said softly, "especially when the world expects you to fit a certain mold. But true passion doesn't need loud applause. It needs quiet belief." She moved through the kitchen with grace, demonstrating techniques that were simple yet transformative. Emma emphasized the importance of patience and intuition in cooking, skills that can't always be measured by formal training, but are born from experience and heart. Her students listened intently, not just absorbing her culinary tips, but the wisdom woven between her words. One young woman raised her hand, hesitant but hopeful. "How do you keep going when others doubt you?" Emma smiled, recognizing her own younger self in that question. "You remember why you started. You hold on to your love for what you do, and you let that fuel your journey. Doubt will come, but it can't define you unless you let it." The workshop ended with a tasting session where the students presented their creations. Emma moved among them, offering encouragement and praise. The atmosphere was warm and supportive, a far cry from the harsh judgment she had once endured. After the event, Emma was approached by a local food charity that wanted to partner with her. They saw her story as a beacon of hope for underserved communities and invited her to develop cooking programs for youth who might not have access to culinary education. Emma eagerly accepted, seeing this as a way to give back and nurture the next generation of hidden talents. In the weeks that followed, Emma poured her energy into the charity's programs. She met young people whose potential was often overlooked, just like hers had been. With patience and kindness, she taught them not only how to cook, but how to believe in themselves. One boy, Marcus, stood out. Shy and withdrawn, he struggled with confidence but showed remarkable talent with flavors and presentation. Emma took him under her wing, encouraging him to push beyond his fears. Slowly, Marcus blossomed, and the pride she saw in his eyes reminded her of her own journey. Through these moments, Emma realized that her story was no longer just about personal success. It was about creating ripples of change, inspiring others to rise despite adversity. Her quiet courage was becoming a movement, a testament to the power of resilience and hope. Yet even as she celebrated these victories, Emma knew there were still battles ahead. The culinary world could be unforgiving, and there would always be skeptics. But armed with experience, humility, and unwavering faith in her purpose, Emma was ready to face whatever came next. Her journey continued, not as a simple woman in the background, but as a leader, a mentor, and a symbol of what could happen when talent meets courage and heart. Emma's life had shifted in ways she never imagined. The once quiet woman who sought only to support her niece Jen had become a symbol of hope and inspiration in the culinary world. Yet, despite her growing influence, Emma remained grounded, always remembering the kitchen where it all began and the lessons learned through hardship and quiet perseverance. One crisp autumn morning, Emma received a phone call that would take her journey to an entirely new level. It was from a renowned culinary foundation known for supporting talented chefs who used food to make a positive impact in their communities. They wanted to honor Emma with a special award recognizing her contributions not just to the art of cooking, but to empowering others. The news filled Emma with mixed emotions: gratitude, disbelief, and a sense of responsibility. This recognition was more than an accolade. It was an opportunity to amplify her message and extend her reach to those who needed encouragement the most. At the awards ceremony, Emma stepped onto the stage in a simple dress, her hair pulled back just as it always was. The room was filled with industry leaders, media, and young aspiring chefs who looked up to her. As she accepted the award, Emma spoke from the heart, sharing how her journey had been shaped by quiet moments of resilience and unwavering belief in herself. "You don't need to be loud to be heard," she told the audience. "Sometimes the most powerful stories are told through patience, kindness, and the courage to keep going when no one is watching." The applause was thunderous, but Emma's thoughts turned to the countless others still waiting for their moment, those who felt invisible or underestimated. She knew her work was far from finished. Following the ceremony, Emma launched a new initiative in partnership with the foundation. The program aimed to provide scholarships, mentorship, and hands-on training to individuals from marginalized backgrounds who dreamed of careers in the culinary arts. Emma poured her energy into this project, organizing workshops, guest lectures, and community events designed to break down barriers and foster inclusion. During one workshop, Emma met Lena, a young woman with an infectious passion for cooking, but limited resources and little support. Lena reminded Emma of herself, humble, talented, and underestimated. Emma took Lena under her wing, mentoring her not only in culinary skills but also in navigating the challenges of the industry. Their bond grew stronger as Lena flourished under Emma's guidance. Together, they developed recipes inspired by Lena's cultural heritage, blending tradition with innovation. Their collaborative work caught the attention of local media, shining a spotlight on the beauty of diverse voices in the culinary world. Despite the successes, Emma faced new pressures, balancing public expectations, mentorship responsibilities, and her own creative pursuits. Some days were exhausting, but every challenge reaffirmed her commitment. She understood that true leadership meant lifting others as you climb, creating spaces where every voice could be heard. One evening, after a long day of teaching, Emma sat quietly in her kitchen at home. The walls around her were lined with handwritten recipes, mementos of her journey, and photographs of those she had helped along the way. She reflected on how far she'd come, from being mocked in a room full of chefs to becoming a catalyst for change. Emma realized that her story was never really about her alone. It was about the power of perseverance, the importance of kindness, and the unspoken strength found in those who refuse to give up. Her journey had taught her that greatness often begins in the quietest moments, and that every person has the potential to make a difference no matter how humble their beginnings. As the night settled around her, Emma smiled softly. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new faces, and new stories to shape. But she was ready to continue her journey as a champion not just of cuisine but of courage, hope, and the unbreakable human spirit. Emma's world continued to expand in ways she had never imagined. The projects she had launched were thriving. The young chefs she mentored were blossoming, and her own culinary creativity was reaching new heights. Yet amid this whirlwind of activity, Emma remained deeply connected to her roots. The simple joy of cooking, the warmth of a shared meal, and the quiet strength that had carried her through every trial. One crisp winter morning, Emma received a letter from an unexpected source, a struggling shelter for homeless families on the outskirts of the city. They had heard of her work and invited her to help create a sustainable kitchen program for their residents. The letter spoke of hope and the desire to empower those who had faced hardship, a mission that resonated deeply with Emma. Without hesitation, Emma accepted the invitation. She saw this as an opportunity to bring her passion full circle, to cook not for fame or accolades but for healing and transformation. She traveled to the shelter and was greeted by weary faces filled with cautious hope. Among them were parents juggling the weight of survival with the desire to build better futures for their children. Emma's first day at the shelter kitchen was a mix of challenges and breakthroughs. The space was cramped and under-equipped, but the spirit of the people was unbreakable. She began by teaching basic cooking skills, focusing on nutrition and resourcefulness. Her approach was patient and encouraging, helping residents discover the magic in simple ingredients and the joy of creating meals that nourished both body and soul. One mother, Clara, stood out to Emma. Clara was quiet, reserved, and burdened by the struggles of homelessness and single parenthood. Yet when she cooked, her eyes lit up with a spark Emma recognized, a deep love for food and family. Emma worked closely with Clara, helping her develop recipes that could be made on a tight budget yet still delivered warmth and comfort. As weeks passed, the kitchen at the shelter became more than just a place to prepare food. It transformed into a hub of community and hope. Residents gathered not only to cook but to share stories, dreams, and laughter. Emma watched as barriers dissolved, replaced by bonds forged through shared meals and mutual support. Encouraged by this success, Emma organized a fundraising dinner where the residents showcased their cooking talents. The event was held in a nearby community center, and tickets sold out quickly as word spread. Guests were moved not just by the delicious food, but by the stories behind each dish, stories of resilience, hope, and the power of second chances. During the dinner, Clara took the stage to share her journey. Her voice trembled at first, but as she spoke about overcoming adversity through the love of cooking, her confidence grew. The room erupted in applause, a moment that filled Emma's heart with pride and reaffirmed her belief in the transformative power of food. The success of the Shelter Kitchen program caught the attention of local media, bringing further support and resources. Emma continued to expand the initiative, developing workshops, job training, and partnerships with local businesses. The program became a model for community empowerment, inspiring others to use food as a catalyst for change. Yet, through it all, Emma remained humble. She understood that the true heroes were the people she met every day, the mothers, fathers, and children who faced life's hardships with courage and dignity. Their stories fueled her mission, reminding her that success was not measured by accolades but by the lives touched and the hope restored. One evening, as snow gently fell outside, Emma sat with Clara and a group of residents, sharing a simple meal they had prepared together. The warmth in the room was palpable, a testament to the power of kindness, resilience, and the unspoken strength found in community. Emma's journey had taken her from a quiet background to the heart of a movement built on love, courage, and the belief that every person deserves a chance to shine. And as she looked around at the faces illuminated by candlelight and hope, she knew that this was only the beginning. Her story, once defined by silence and invisibility, had become a beacon, a reminder that with passion, perseverance, and heart, anyone can change their world and the worlds of those around them. Emma's journey had come full circle in ways she had never anticipated. The humble woman once doubted and overlooked by many was now a symbol of hope, resilience, and transformative power. But what truly made her story remarkable was not just the accolades or the recognition she received. It was the countless lives she touched along the way, and the ripple effect her courage inspired in others. Months after the Shelter Kitchen's success, Emma found herself invited to speak at a prestigious international food summit. This was a stage far larger than she had ever imagined stepping onto, surrounded by world-renowned chefs, critics, and industry leaders. Yet rather than intimidation, Emma felt a steady calm. Her story, her message was clear. Food is more than just sustenance. It is a language of love, healing, and connection. On the day of her speech, Emma stood at the podium scanning the crowd that stretched across the grand hall. She began by recounting her beginnings, the simple kitchen where she first learned to cook, the sneering doubt of Chef Martha Coleman, and the moment she decided to embrace her own strength rather than shrink from it. Her voice, steady and sincere, echoed through the room. Emma shared how culinary mastery was never about fancy techniques or elaborate presentations. It was about authenticity, heart, and the courage to believe in oneself. She spoke of the shelter, kitchen, the people she had met, and the powerful lessons of community, compassion, and perseverance. Her words resonated deeply. The audience was moved, not just by her achievements, but by her unwavering humility and the universality of her message. After the speech, Emma was approached by many who wanted to collaborate, support her initiatives, and carry forward the vision she embodied. But beyond the summit and the public acclaim, Emma's greatest fulfillment came from the small moments. She treasured the morning spent in the Shelter Kitchen, the laughter shared with Clara and Lena, and the quiet satisfaction of helping someone discover their own light. One afternoon, Emma received a letter from a young girl named Sophie, who had watched her story unfold online. Sophie lived in a remote village with few opportunities and wrote about her dream to become a chef, despite the challenges she faced. Emma felt an immediate connection. She wrote back, encouraging Sophie to hold on to her dreams and promising to help in any way she could. This correspondence blossomed into a mentorship, with Emma sending Sophie cooking supplies, recipes, and lessons. Sophie's progress was slow but steady, a testament to determination and hope. Emma saw in her the same spark she once had, the unyielding desire to rise above circumstances and create something beautiful. Emma's story became more than just her own. It was a collective journey shared with every person who dared to believe in themselves despite the odds. She learned that true success was not measured in awards or fame, but in the lives uplifted, the dreams ignited, and the barriers broken. In the quiet moments of reflection, Emma realized that her greatest achievement was inspiring others to find their own strength and voice. The woman who once wished to stay invisible had become a guiding light, a reminder that greatness often begins in the unlikeliest of places, with the simplest acts of courage and kindness. As the sun set on another day filled with hope and possibility, Emma smiled, knowing her story was far from over. There were still dreams to nurture, battles to face, and lives to change, but armed with faith, compassion, and relentless spirit, she was ready for whatever came next. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary journeys start with a single step and a simple woman willing to believe in herself against all odds.